Well guys, I finally caved to the pressure. I finally decided that I'm going to film a video of me whacking off. I mean, a video of me whacking off with knives. A video of me whacking my wood. Yep, that's right. I'm finally doing a spine whack testing video. Spine whack testing has become kind of a big deal in the EDC world recently, with a lot of people testing their knives, both inexpensive and expensive, and having the locks fail. Obviously, this is a problem, right? This is something that should not be making it past quality control. Now, I have not done a whole lot of spine whack content on the channel before because, to me, the way I test knives is I use them day to day, and if the lock isn't failing on me in day-to-day use, I guess it's safe enough, right? But there are definitely reasons to test your lock. You don't know what you're going to be putting your knife through, right? You might end up having to complete a task that you weren't planning on, and you want to make sure that your knife is locking up and is safe. Because obviously, why have a lock on a knife if it's just going to fail instantly? So let's go ahead and start whacking some knives. I've got a bunch of knives out here, not my whole collection, but a lot of it. And yeah, I've tried to have multiple locks from multiple companies. We're going to be doing 3 strikes, and each strike will be increasing the velocity, the magnitude of the strike slightly. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, I think the first thing we should do is set a baseline. All right, so here's how we're going to set the baseline. I'm going to start off with a knife that I know fails a spine whack test. This is the Civivi Mastodon, and if you have not seen my testing video of this knife, it's an older one. Definitely check it out. But yeah, I do know that this lock fails. So let's go ahead and see how much pressure that actually takes. Gloves for safety. All right, failed. Okay, it failed the first one, but it didn't fail the other one, so let's see. A lot of times, I should also mention this. Sometimes lock failure can depend on where you hit the blade. The angle can cause the lock geometry to slip. Sometimes you get just enough vibrations to slip that lock. So we're going to use this knife to kind of calibrate myself into the best striking method. As you can see here, we have this board suspended above the ground. This is a little bit lower than hip level, so I'm able to get some power on here, and I think it's going to be pretty easy to control. Okay. All right. Now, just for a comparison, I want to actually use this Ozark trail knife. This is a $5 knife. I'm really curious to see if this fails. Rock solid. I even gave it a couple of extras. So, if this $5 knife passes the test, some of these other companies have no excuse. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm kind of scared for some of these results. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with CJRB. And we're going to start off with the Resource. Now, if you saw my unboxing of this video way back in November or December, whenever that was, you'll know that this knife did fail a spine whack test out of the box. However, after some use, I spine whacked it in the review and it was fine. And that's another thing we need to talk about. Obviously, through use, you're going to wear that lock in. You're going to make your lock up more secure the longer you use the knife. Here on Gideon Stuff, as you guys know, we use our knives, right? All these knives have been used extensively, so they've all had an opportunity to break in. So any lock failures that we see today really have no excuse because all these knives have been well used, so they should be broken in. All right, let's see what we got here. Ooh. Fail. 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 Okay, that's not good. Again, I did spine whack this in the review and it was okay, but it was not okay today. So that's a fail. We're going to put the failed knives over here. So I guess get over there, Mastodon. Okay, let's stick with CJRB. Next up, let's do a button lock from CJRB. Hard to deploy these knives with my gloves on. Here's the Pyrite. Let's see what happens. Pass. Very, very cool. All right, let's try another liner lock. This is the Scoria. I'm going to say that was a pass. I also have, where is it? I found it in my pocket. We also have a frame lock from CJRB/Artisan. So let's see how this does. This is, of course, the large feldspar. Ooh. We failed it on the last one. Okay, we failed it again. So on repeated strikes, this one is failing, but it's not failing on the first one or two. So it could be that it's just, you know, progressively vibrating open. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like if I were to open, you know what? Here, let's do this. Open. Close. Okay, there it did fail on the first strike. So, you know what? We're going to put that one as, I don't know what. So, let's rest right there. Okay, next up, I brought another cheap knife. See how this does? This is a Gerber Paraframe. See what happens. Gerber Paraframe passes. I know I said I was only going to be doing 3 strikes, and we have absolutely broken that rule, but, you know, whatever. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to WE/Civivi. Start off with the button lock on this Elementum 2. I'm going to say that's a pass. Good job, Civivi. Let's go ahead and move on to the Super Lock here on the Vision FG. That is a pass. What other Civivis did I bring out here? Oh, let's do a liner lock. Here is the Praxis. Ooh. Yikes. Not failing again, but that first one failed really, really easily. You know what? I'm not sure what to do about that. You know what? We're going to put that guy in kind of the same category as the large feldspar, where we did get a fail, but... So... C grade, A grade, F grade. That's what we're doing. Alrighty, any more Civivis? I don't think so. Let's move on to a WE knife. This is my Minax. I love this knife. Let's see what happens. Alright. I'm going to say that was a pass. Good job, WE. Okay, let's move on to Bestech. I have a Bestech crossbar lock. This is the Slasher XL. All right, that's a pass for me. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and do the most expensive knife in my collection, the Bestech Bowie Tie. All right, frame lock or bolster lock. Let's see what happens. That's slippery carbon fiber. Even did it a little bit extra, but that feels like it's solid to me. Good job. Not gonna lie, I would have been pretty upset if that one failed. And I think I've got a Bestech liner lock around here somewhere. Yeah, for our Bestech liner lock, we're gonna be using the Ascot. Do you guys remember when I reviewed this? Like a long, long time ago? No one watched that review. And then I tried giving this knife away, but the winner never came forward, so here it still is. Alrighty. It's actually a pretty nice looking knife. Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3. I'm gonna call that a pass, and yeah, those are pretty chunky liners, so there we go. Good job, Bestech. In fact, Bestech is our only company so far that is 3 for 3. Every single Bestech we tested passed, so good on them. Let's go ahead and do a Camillus real quick. This is the Dominator 2. See if this holds up. 1, 2. Whew, I even gave it a lot of juice there at the end. Still in working order. All right. Good job, Camillus. I'm telling you guys, Camillus is awesome. I love Camillus. They're badass. Okay. Let's go ahead and test my Kizer Towser K. As you guys know, this knife has failed in the past on camera. So, I gotta be honest with you, not having high hopes. Oh. Yep, there it is. Ugh, son of a bitch. So yeah, this knife, yeah, I'm not gonna whack it anymore. I'm putting this one straight into F, even though it did resist 2 strikes before failing on the hardest one, because this guy has closed on my hand in use. So yeah, if you haven't seen the review on this, check it out. This knife definitely disappointed me a lot. Yeah, I really wanted this knife to be great, and I hate it. So there we go. All right, next up, let's go ahead and do another one-off. Here is my Ontario Rat 1. Yeah, no surprises there. I think we all knew that guy would be fine. Those things are remarkably tough. I got a Vosteed out here. The Nightshade, the original one that I got from Lefty EDC. Shout out to him. Seems all right to me. Good job. Here's a Kubi. This is our Drake. Let's go ahead and see what we got here. All right, not bad. Also held up very, very well. Good job, Kubi. Okay, I brought a Kershaw. And the reason I brought this guy is because it has this sub frame lock. Want to see if that affects anything. Solid as a rock. I gave it one more because in my mind I thought I saw the lock slip, but I didn't. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty, let's go ahead and try another crossbar lock from Hogue. Here's our Deca. Let's go. That's a win in my book. Good job, Hogue. Let's go ahead and try Spyderco. Let's start off the liner lock on their resilience. Wow, actually, I gave that one a little more power than I intended, but yep, that held up all right. Good job, good job. Alrighty, let's go ahead. Let's try a compression lock here on my PM2 Tonto. Perfectly fine, and again, I gave that guy a little extra oomph just because I gave the resilience extra oomph. And we've only got a couple knives left, so let's go on to cold steel, of course. Let's start out with the triad lock. I think this is probably going to be just fine. No surprises there. Let's try the scorpion lock, because I know a lot of people think that the only strength this lock has is when your hand is around it, and definitely gripping the knife gives it a lot more strength, but see what happens here. It still locks up even when your hand is not holding it on. So, yeah, very, very cool lock. I love the scorpion lock. I wish there were more knives that had it. And then let's do their Atlas lock. This is the only Atlas lock knife I have around right now. I have the full-size Engage, but it's not here. So let's go ahead and go. Oof. Oof. All right. The Engage Mini fails. It's kind of a bummer. And the last knife that we're going to test today is the CRKT M16, and the reason I want to test this one is because it has a secondary lock. So first let's test it without the secondary lock. Okay, it didn't fail without the secondary lock engaged, so I really don't think I need to test it with that lock engaged. I will say though, in those strikes the liner did move over quite a bit, but hey, it passes, so there we go. Alrighty, so there we tested 25 knives. Now, again, this is not my whole collection. I have a bunch of knives that we could test, but I think this was a pretty good sampling. For example, I don't think I need to test any more of my triad locks, right? I think they're all pretty fine. I would like to kind of test, I only have one other knife that has the Atlas lock. I want to get some more and test those and see what I think. Speaking of the Atlas lock though, I did do quite a bit of testing on the full-size Engage almost 2 years ago. There's a full-length video of me testing the Engage. I baton it through wood, I chop, and it actually held up perfectly fine. So, you know, it might just be that the smaller knife here, the cheaper knife, has some geometry issues. I don't know. Could also just be this one particular knife. And that's another thing we need to talk about is nothing that I did today is really all that reflective of what you might experience, right? My CGRB resource fails a spine whack test. Does that mean yours will? Not necessarily, right? It could be that this is the one and only dud in the world and I just happen to have it. But it could be that the design itself has some issues. And yeah, the ease at which it fails leads me to believe that maybe a bunch of them have this issue. I will say too, the Towser K. Again, this is a knife that I've had terrible experiences with. This thing does not lock up to save its life. Other people have told me that theirs are perfectly fine. So, you know, this is not a scientific test. Which brings me to another, that was a weird voice crack. Which brings me to another topic that I feel like I've never discussed on the channel, but maybe I should. And that's why I don't do specific testing videos, right? I do test knives. Like sometimes I'll make videos where I'm batoning and chopping, testing the durability of a product. But I don't do things like edge retention tests. I don't often do these lock strength tests in this way. And a lot of times when I'm doing the crazy testing, like I do with a lot of cold steels where I'm batoning and throwing them, things like that, I'll be honest, a lot of that is for entertainment value. Most of the testing that goes into my reviews is my experience day to day using a knife, right? So for example, when I reviewed this knife, I didn't mention anything about lockup failure because I didn't experience that in my day to day. The way I was using this knife as it was intended, I didn't experience any catastrophic failures. However, that does not apply to this knife because I was using this knife in the way it was intended as just a regular pocket knife and it failed and closed on my fingers. Again, you can watch the videos for either of these. So that is an issue. And that's how I've kind of treated all testing when it comes to my channel, is I use the knife as I would use it, and if I don't experience any issues, then that's the bottom line, right? And that's another reason why I kind of go a little bit overkill on my cold steels, because as you guys know, when I'm out in the field, when I was working as a cowboy in the mountains, things like that, there was a great possibility that I would have to use my knife in some rough situations to build a shelter or something. And so, just to kind of test that use case scenario, I devise, kind of funny tests. But I don't do things like edge retention tests or corrosion resistant tests because I don't have the equipment or desire to treat them as scientifically as I would feel forced to. A lot of you know, I'm a scientist, I'm a geologist. I would want to attack these different types of testing from a very scientific methodology. Even just this little test here, there are so many issues that I had going off my head, right? Because when you test something, you want to make your hypothesis, make your predictions, test it, controlling your independent and, taking note of your independent and dependent variables, have a control, and it would get overwhelming for a YouTube video, right? If I did those kinds of things, I'd have to be constantly working on it, right? And by the way, I feel like I mention this all the time. A prediction and a hypothesis are not the same thing. A lot of people think they are. Hypothesis is, let's think of a knife-based hypothesis. If I were to say, I hypothesize that blade stock thickness is directly proportional to impact resistance. That's a hypothesis, right? And then to test that, before I start testing it, I make a prediction. I predict that the Cold Steel 8010 light will resist impact force better than the Civivi Praxis because it's thicker. So that's the difference between a hypothesis and a prediction. Hypothesis gets down to the what you think the mechanics or principle behind something will turn out to be, and the prediction is how you think an experiment will turn out. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, that's why I don't really want to do scientific testing videos. I know some of you have requested it, like edge retention tests, corrosion resistance tests, things like that. And it's not something that I think I would want to do. Number one, because I don't think I have the equipment that I would feel is necessary to perform these tests to their limit. And the other thing is because I really think it would take, like these videos would be 2-3 hours long, right? I would approach this the same way as if I was writing a paper, right? It'd be boring, it'd be a slog, and I don't think you guys are interested in that. Toughness and durability testing, the real world testing stuff, that's a lot more fun. That stuff I can do. It's funner to watch. For me, it's informative, but again, it may not translate directly to you as a viewer. If I were to do this test correctly and get any actual data out of it, I would have to have 5 or 10 versions of every single knife I use. I would have to record exactly to the precise percentage the force I'm striking the board with them. That was a horrible sentence. I would have to make sure I'm hitting them all exactly with exactly the same amount of force. And, you know, there's just so much to take into consideration, right? However, with me making this video now, if there's any of these knives that have been tested by other channels, now we're starting to build a little bit of a database where people can go ahead and look through and say, oh, okay, so every time the Bestech buoy tie was tested, it passed. There's a high probability then that the Bestech buoy tie is built well across the board. And similarly, if you're looking at a bunch of videos, you say, okay, well, 5 people tested the Kizer Towser K and it failed 4 times, maybe that's indicative of an issue with the model. Again, these are small sample sizes, right? These are very, very small sample sizes. I just heard recently that Civivi sold or made their 1 millionth Elementum, not the button lock, but the regular liner lock, I think. Or maybe it's all of their Elementum models combined. Whatever the case is, even if 20 Elementums fail on YouTube videos, fail the spine lock test, you have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of more out there that haven't been touched. So, again, how useful is all this testing? I don't know. For me personally, I'm kind of glad I did this. I'll be honest with you, the knives that failed are knives that I was kind of already expecting to fail, or knives that I honestly really don't carry that much. Everything I brought out here that I was like, oh, please don't fail, I love this knife, they didn't fail. So I'm very, very happy about that. Of the knives that failed, it was all liner locks and 1 frame lock. So, you know, there might be some useful info there, but yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave you guys with this. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see me do this again. I would definitely be down to clown. I'd definitely be open to the idea of testing more knives for my collection. If you guys have specific knives that you think you want tested, maybe you have a knife that fails and you want to know if anyone else had that issue, let me know. If I have that knife in my collection, I'll definitely make a video testing it so we can compare results. I think that's honestly probably the best and most useful application of this test. So yeah, and also of the knives that failed here, let me know if you own that knife and it doesn't fail. If it does fail, of the knives that pass, let me know if you own any that do fail. So we can just kind of compare results back and forth. But that's going to be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave it a like, comment below, and subscribe. Special thank you to my channel members. Right here, we will be doing a channel member giveaway when I hit 8 members. Giveaways are open to members at any level. You don't have to be a specific tier. Everyone's included. So if you want to be a member, there's a link below. We do all kinds of cool stuff. You get access to, at the very lowest tier, you get access to badges and emojis, which I'm working on designing more and more all the time. And if you join in the higher tiers, you get access to things like early access to videos, unique member community posts, updates on knives I'm carrying, updates on things that I'm doing, as well as all kinds of other perks. It's a great time over there. We have a lot of fun. So there we go. Enough shilling for me. Anyways, that's going to be it today, guys. Thank you. And I will see you in the next one. Adios.